Today I fucked up by lying about when I had last been with another woman. Edit. It's detailed, long-winded. Just skip if you don't want to read. This is pretty fresh, so I feel like I may be rambling a bit, but here goes. Last summer, early fall, I had gotten out of a supremely toxic relationship with my emotionally, verbally abusive girlfriend, which officially ended last in October. I know stereotype is that people will talk about their past relationships in a bad light, but this was someone that drove her vehicle onto a curbed median in the middle of a main city street to prove some kind of point while screaming at me. Running red lights so that I couldn't exit the vehicle on my own accord. Needless to say, I had dropped most contact until closer to the holidays when I got an out-of-the-blue apology for the way I was treated. Telling me she had been doing a lot of work on herself and realized how she let the things going on in her life bleed into the way she treated me. Having been a close to 2-year-long relationship, I obviously still cared about her to a certain extent. However, whatever love I had for her had been tainted and was mostly destroyed by the way I was treated. Regardless, I chose to maintain contact with her, knowing full well about the absolute hell she had put me through. In hindsight, this was my first mistake chronologically, but second in terms of weight. I finally got up the nerve to put myself out there and had started dating again close to January after a fling with an older woman I'd known for years. I'm early 30s and her late 40s. I made a promise to myself that I was going to date with intent to find my person. That meant no sex, hookups at all, and even avoiding situations that would lead to a kiss on the first date if the opportunity arose. Respectful and with the sole purpose of getting to know the person. Few good dates here and there, but nothing worth mention. Through healing from my last relationship, I made a promise to not overlook red flags in hopes that they are only fleeting. So, most of the interactions ended after a few dates with me thanking them for their time and telling them that I enjoyed the time spent, but that I didn't feel like it was what I was looking for. Fast forward a few months, I ended up going out on a date with a woman that traveled for work. I felt like we hit it off instantly. Same sense of humor, very similar tastes, same page on the important topics, etc. She was amazing. We went on a couple chill dates here and there. Nothing too serious. Just chatted and enjoyed each other's company. After a few weeks and her week-long trip back home, things got cold. Stopped getting responses as frequently. I made another attempt at seeing her again. She ended up telling me that she had decided to take a step forward with another relationship. We were obviously both going on dates and we're both adults here. Regardless, I was pretty bummed out at first but kept up the friendship, because that's what's important to me. I could tell that she is a great person and I felt like she was someone I wanted in my life. I continued to go on dates and kept mild communication with my ex. Eventually curiosity got the best of me. I was having poor luck dating and my ex was showing interest in seeing me. I wanted to see how she was doing. Like an idiot, I invited her over. I made it clear that I just wanted to catch up. We talked for a bit. Watched a movie. It was pretty clear that she hadn't changed at all. Halfway through the movie, it started storming pretty bad and she didn't feel comfortable driving. Tornadoes were on the ground in some areas, so I didn't blame her, but it was time for me to go to sleep. I have a huge bed and didn't want to make her sleep on a couch. I was single and didn't have any reason to, other than to protect my own sanity. As you've probably already guessed, she came onto me as I laid there with my back turned trying to fall asleep. It was like falling back into a bad habit. Obviously I had a choice, but she absolutely took advantage of my kindness, compassion in order to stay in the first place. For anyone that's been in a similar situation, when you're single and don't have any major warning lights going off in your mental dashboard, you're almost on autopilot. It had been almost a year since we separated and prior to that, the relationship had already been on the rocks many times over. So by this point, I hadn't been attached emotionally for quite some time. I had nothing other than general compassion for someone I once loved. The next morning she left before I woke up. When I finally opened my eyes, I just laid there staring up at my ceiling confused, disappointed and almost ashamed that I didn't do anything differently. I didn't say anything to her for most of the day until she asked me if the night before was weird. I told her that it was and that it wasn't what I had planned. That I didn't regret it. I wasn't upset. Even though both of those were not entirely true the more I thought about it. And that something was off about it. I was the one that got taken advantage of, and there I was trying to let her down softly. Communication didn't go much further than her eventually trying to get a rise out of me with an off-the-wall hateful comment designed to get me to interact. Having already been attuned to this without being blinded by emotions, I responded tactfully in a manner that didn't feed into it, but still put it to rest. That was the end. The actual end. Next thing I know, an exact week later, I get a text from the traveler letting me know that she was breaking up with her BF. We ended up hanging out quite a few times over the next couple weeks. One in particular, she let me bring her some coffee the same day we already hung out. Something that I had offered and was turned down on after a couple of our first dates back in the beginning. I felt like it was fairly clear that she wanted to see me and was still interested. Eventually she expressed interest in coming over to my house. I had already been to hers quite a few times while interested, yet still platonically at this point, so I wasn't expecting anything. We watched a movie and laid there talking about all kinds of stuff. This is where I truly fucked up worse than I've ever fucked up in my life. We ended up on the topic of past relationships and, in a negative light, she made mention of a situation that in my mind directly mirrored the timing of my past month's events. Obviously this put me on edge. At some point she asked me about my past with sexual interactions. She told me that she didn't care, but wanted to know. JFC. I said that I had been, pretty much celibate, for the last 6 months. She said, really? And I, mmhm. What kind of $ing idiot am I? In my head I had already written off the interaction with my ex because I felt taken advantage of. Some part of me felt like it almost didn't count. Like, that doesn't even make sense when I say it out loud. For the life of me I can't understand why I thought that was a good idea. Later on that night, she ended up professing that she wanted to date me exclusively. I just started off a relationship with the woman of my dreams with a stupid lie that probably wouldn't have been that big of a deal. The next couple months was an absolute dream. It felt like the time we spent together platonically before now just made our connection grow stronger and faster than normal. Everything this woman does is amazing. I took her to meet my family and my friends. Across the board they gave a solid 11/10. They all thought she was awesome. We complement each other's personalities like puzzle pieces. She treated me better than I had ever been treated and she said that I did the same for her. We talked about everything. I wasn't afraid to tell her anything. I was already crazy about her, but I fell in love. Like a real love. Not simple infatuation, but a love that, for the first time in my life, was reciprocated fully and beyond what I had hoped for. Making love was the most amazing experience I've ever shared with someone. What we had felt real, connected and free of any fear or anxiety. Yesterday morning it all came crumbling down around me. We were going to meet up with my sister to pick something up and my sister told me that my ex was at the bar too. I didn't want to see her, but I also wasn't afraid or anything. She decided that we should opt to stay in the car. We went back home and relaxed. She ended up giving me the first massage any girlfriend had ever given me. It was past midnight at this point and I already sleep on my stomach. So, I fell asleep after about 5–10 minutes. Apparently the interaction we had earlier sparked a question in her head. She works night shift, so I'm sure she sat up most of the night thinking about it. When we woke up, I went to give her a hug and kiss, but instead of the usual warm loving interaction, she kind of made distance between us in the bed and said that she needed to ask me about something. I could tell that she wasn't happy, but I didn't know why. Then she directly asked me when was the last time I had been with my ex. In all of my relationships, I've always been a loyal, faithful partner. I may not have told the whole truth before, but I'm not a liar and I didn't lie in the first place for any malicious reason. I was just scared of having something amazing blow up in my face over a stupid choice I made that already resolved itself prior to this relationship. This is someone that I love. This is someone that for the last month I had been cultivating a relationship free of fear, doubts and anxiety. I told her the truth. I have so much more to lose now and I chose to tell the truth. Somehow it seemed like she already knew. She is a couple weeks out from going out of state for her next assignment and now she doesn't know if she can trust me. I can't blame her. I told her an unsolicited lie. Regardless of my reasons, I wasn't honest about it. So currently my relationship is teetering towards destruction and I feel like a part of me is dying while I wait to find out what she decides. Just tell the truth. Even if the truth sucks, it's better than this. And #X200B. Too long did not read. : I told the woman of my dreams an unsolicited lie about how long it had been since I was with another woman, my ex. She asked later on and I came clean. She travels for work and doesn't know if she can trust me anymore. Don't lie. Especially to people you care about. I ain't reading all that. I'm happy for you though. Or sorry that happened. GIF. Giphy, E4 Pi 99 W43 ECCV1 N9JF. I read it all. It was a great story, man. I'm sorry for your situation. I'm in a shitty spot recently. My girlfriend of 5 years just broke up with me, and your story was a good read. I'm sorry for your stress. I hope it all works out for you. I read it all. Yeah, it was long but easy to read. You can definitely come back from this with good communication and maybe a little groveling. I think a really big part of repairing trust is addressing the lie. Obviously it's out there now and you both know, but don't just move along. Tell her why you lied. The bit about being nervous she wouldn't like you, tell her you're ashamed of having lied, and tell her you won't do it again. Having been in a similar situation, yes, he apologized, and yes, I believed him, but I feel like he wanted to get away from it so badly that he forgot the part where he reassures me that I can trust him going forward. I know it's just words, but it did feel significant. Today I fucked up by trying to ride a train in Denmark as an American. Couple years ago I visited Denmark for work and had to take the train from Copenhagen to Odense. Being a Missouri boy, I'm already not very good at navigating trains, public transportation. Anyway, I managed to buy the ticket per the instructions from my company, get on the train and it's pretty empty. Great. I find a nice table that has 4 seats, 2 and 2 facing each other, throw my bags up above and get comfy. It's a 2-hour train ride and I figure this is everyone going, so I close my eyes and try to get some sleep. Here's where it went wrong. The train did not head straight to Odense, it went to another stop where a lot of people got on. To paint a picture, I'm in travel gear, black tennis shoes, black joggers, black Burton sweatshirt on, and a black Burton flatbill. I later learned the hat is an American calling card. I look like goth Shaun White. I notice a group of 3 looking at their tickets and looking at the numbers above the seats. Fuck, the seats are numbered? It was about this time I also noticed the front half of the car had like standing room, some bench seats, and it was packed. So internally I am kinda panicking. Are there assigned seats? Am I in someone's assigned seat? What kind of ticket did I buy? The basic one? Where is my ticket? Fuck, my ticket is in my bag above me. Now I realize a normal person would stand up, grab their ticket and ask for help. I did not do this. I battened down the hatches, pulled my hat lower, acted like I was sleeping, prayed I bought the correct ticket and waited. The crew of 3 I observed have now made their way to my row. Instantly I recognize the look I was getting from the guy holding their tickets. I don't care where you're from, the look of, that's my fucking seat, translates pretty clearly across all cultures. You all know it. Looks at ticket, looks at seat number, looks at you, looks at ticket, squint eye back at you, looks around for authority figure. Can you feel it? I don't budge. If he wants me to move, he has to say something. I need him to say something so I can feign ignorance and ask for help. Not out of entitlement, I am just so embarrassed at this point. I am trying to act like I belong where I am. I'm leaning into it. I don't know if it's because I look like a delinquent or if it's the local culture, but for some reason they don't tell me to get out of the seat. They ask me to stand so they can get to the window seat. So now the 4 of us are sitting at this table and I am sitting across from the one who 100% knows I am not supposed to be there. At this point I've gone too far. I no longer can ask for help. I am part of the group now. Just 3 nicely dressed Danes and they're going through a phase, looking ass friend. In my mind I'm still trying to figure out if I somehow sat in the right spot. None of them have said a single word to me about it. The train's moving. Maybe this is how they do it here. Just random seating that faces each other? Nope, this was all coping. As the train gets underway, the guy across me is staring daggers at me. He's leaning into the aisle, clearly looking for a conductor or ticket guy, like he's looking both ways pretty aggressively. He's typing stuff on his phone and showing the girl next to him. They're looking at me. I can pick up the body language just fine, but again I am in too deep. I am stuck in this game of train seat chicken. I am almost annoyed he hasn't said anything. Please release me from this prison, sir. You clearly want to. 10 minutes goes by of me not acknowledging the group's body language when the conductor or whatever walks in and starts checking tickets. The guy across from me is overwhelmed with happiness. He's beaming, looking at the conductor, back at me, back at the conductor. I know the jig is up for me, but at least I can feign ignorance and finally get the help I clearly need to find my seat, and this situation will be over. The conductor gets to our row and the guy across from me proudly presents his tickets, smirking at me as he hands them over. I don't blame him. Now it's my turn. Time to put on the performance of a lifetime. Oh my god, I am so sorry, ha ha ha, I had no idea. I am not from here, I am so sorry. I played it out in my head, it was perfect, they'd get a laugh at the silly American and I'll be off the hook and placed wherever I was supposed to be. The conductor, I am assuming, asks me for my ticket in Danish. Great time to establish I am American. I am sorry, I don't understand? I say while sheepishly looking at my new friends. It's sad I had to reveal it to them this way, but it needed to be done. I need your ticket, sir. This is it. The moment my counterpart has been waiting for. He knows my ticket doesn't have the number on it. He checked on the app. I am assuming, but I am pretty sure that's what they were doing on their phone. I stand up and hand my ticket to the conductor, waiting to try and spin this into a funny story for all those involved. He says, "Okay," hands my ticket back and walks away. The guy across from me and I are both dumbfounded. I sit back down, make eye contact with him and smile before going back to acting like I am sleeping. I am sure to this day he tells the story of the entitled American who cheated his way into a seat on the train. If you're reading this, sir, I am very sorry. I assure you my actions were completely embarrassment-driven. And #X200B. Too long, did not read. Sat in a Dane's seat and refused to acknowledge it out of embarrassment. And #X200B. Okay, so basically you knew you messed up. Refuse to look at your ticket and reinforce the world's opinion of how stupid, entitled and ignorant Americans are. Great job, genius. What's wrong with you? Why didn't you just tell them that you had no idea what was going on? You sound annoying as hell. Today I fucked up by reading this title as, Ride a Train to Denmark as an American, as in across the Atlantic Ocean, and being disappointed this was just a ticket snafu as opposed to potentially legendary idiocy. No worries about the seat reservation thing. But lone people who take an entire table to themselves always suck. Very well written, sir. Truly captivating. Today I fucked up by upsetting my GF. My girlfriend went on a work trip and invited me to come. It was possible for me, so I booked the flight and went. First evening was good. Dinner, then basically straight to hotel and bed. Day 2. I toured around town while she worked. We headed towards each other in the evening. I gave her the intersection I was at when I arrived first. When she arrived, she gave me the location that she went to. It was only a block from where I was but spans about 3 blocks. Standing at the location that comes up when searched on Google Maps, I could not see her. Told her my location again and said let's just meet there. She couldn't figure out the streets and somehow couldn't see my real-time location I shared. After 30 minutes of this we both were clearly agitated. She gave me the name of a store and said she'd wait for 5 minutes then take an Uber back to the hotel and I can do whatever I want. She just wants to go back to the hotel, would rather be home. Me too, to be honest. Store was 2 blocks away, so I started jogging. Got there and looked all over, inside and down both streets on the corner, and she was nowhere to be found. 5 minutes was up. I was texting that I was there asking where she is. No response for almost 10 minutes and doesn't answer when I call. Finally she says by the front door. I was exactly where it comes up on Google Maps when you search for the store. I frantically start running around the building, realizing it spans the entire block, and find her around the corner at the opposite end of the block, and she was talking on the phone, so I just hugged her, relieved that I had finally found her. She blames me for not giving the name of a place she can look up. She doesn't know streets. She's hungry, so I thought food might make her feel better. Every place I suggested after walking to them she became even more upset because they were too crowded, loud, too long of a wait. I finally pull her to grab a small snack I knew she'd like that was nearby, so that momentarily pleased her. While looking for something to drink, I guided her in a direction of a place I wanted to surprise her with a scenic view of the sunset. We sat for about 30 minutes and talked about a situation that came up with my ex, who agreed to pick up our daughter from school the day I planned to fly back before I booked the flight. As soon as I landed, got a text that she tested positive for COVID and wanted me to pick our daughter up that day. Told her I couldn't, I'm out of town. She didn't believe me, so she said she wouldn't pick her up as agreed because she'd be out of town. I was texting my sisters, they were shocked that she'd take her to school after exposing her and suggested calling the school. If she can't go to school, she doesn't need to be picked up. I think on it as it's already after hours. Back to the GF. She thinks I'm being shady and it should be my ex's choice if she's comfortable with taking her to school, and I should just send her a picture to prove I'm not lying. I do that and she says she'll pick her up from school. Girlfriend continues to chastise me. I try to redirect her focus back to food as she's still hungry. We get to another restaurant I found that seems to have a quieter atmosphere and no wait. They tell us some people are just leaving so they can seat us once they clear the table. After waiting about 3 minutes, she catches a passing waitress and says, "Hey, we've been waiting a while for the table." Waitress half-ass apologies and explains that she was just given 4 tables and would be sure to prioritize ours, and continues to be rude throughout the service, and they charge an automatic 20% gratuity. She hoped to get bread while we waited. We did, but it was too dry and hard on the outside. I thought to myself, it's bread, what do you expect? Uncrustables? I literally cut the crust off some pieces and put them on her plate. Instead of using a knife to spread butter, she just jams the bread into the butter. She's constantly staring at her phone. Food arrives. She went straight for what I ordered, tasting 1 bite from her plate saying it was good, then going back to eating mine. I took 1 bite off her plate and it was not for me. We finished my plate. Hers didn't get touched anymore. She said it sucks, so I asked her if I should ask to have it taken off the check. She said yes, so I went in and asked and they took it off. When she realized they took it off, she got very upset and threw cash on the table as we left, saying she thought I was being nice by asking for a box so we wouldn't leave the mostly untouched dish. I tried to explain that it was just confusion and apologized. She went on and on about how terrible of a person I am that I would even have such an idea, and only if there is something wrong with the quality of the food should it be taken off like a bug, etc. She went on and on about everything I did wrong today. We get back to the hotel. She was planning to have dessert delivered. As soon as we get to the room, she says she booked another hotel and left. I'm heartbroken and afraid that this could be the end of our relationship. This trip was a huge mistake and I should not have come. Too long did not read. I traveled halfway across the country to visit my girlfriend on a work trip. She got upset at everything I said or did this entire evening, then booked a room at another hotel and left. Maybe this belongs in AITAH. None of this is normal behavior. Dude, the girlfriend sounds like a nightmare. You dodged a bullet. Try to rebook to an earlier flight, so you don't have to travel back with her. Man, that's one toxic woman. I really hate babysitting adults. Me, I'd just leave her at the food place L with her tantrums and just go get some sleep. I grew up partially in Austria, partially in Czechoslovakia, behind the Iron Curtain. I still remember vividly the propaganda on state TV, including a live stream from the annual USSR Victory Parade in Moscow. Let me tell you, even there were less red flags than in your post. Run. Run fast, run far. But run. I'm sorry, but after reading this I am not sure your girlfriend likes you. Skeptical smiley face. Today I fucked up by eating 50 strawberries in one afternoon. This did not take place, but actually more like a year ago. Anyways, me and my family, mum, dad and 2 sisters, went on a holiday to Lake Garda, and if you've never been, it's basically a huge lake that spreads into lots of places in Italy. But anyways, to the point of the story. One day about 1 week into this holiday, my family has the bright idea to rent a boat for 2 days. Keep in mind this is a speedboat without anything but a deck to lie on. On the first day of this boat outing everything went great. We saw lots of beautiful sights and ate some really good seafood, and we all went swimming in the lake. The next day is when I regretted every decision I've ever made. We woke up early, about 9 a.m., and went out to get on the boat and see some sights. At about 1 in the afternoon, me and my family were thirsty and decided to stop at a restaurant only accessible by boat for a quick drink and some gelato. My dad stayed on the boat to keep it safe, and we rode on a smaller speedboat provided by the restaurant to get to the small island. Backstory to this: I love strawberries a lot. They're my favorite fruit and I would have eaten them every day if I could. So when we arrived, my mum and sister got some drinks and me and my other sister got some gelato. This restaurant did huge sundae glasses of fruit with 1 scoop of ice cream on top, and I'd say there were about 50 strawberries in there, maybe more. So I began to eat it, even though I knew eating loads of strawberries could give the person intense stomach pain and non-stop liquid fire agonizing shits. But for some inexplainable reason I thought I was safe, and I ate all of it in about 5 minutes. An hour later, me and my family are back on the boat and I get the worst stomach pain I've ever had in my entire life. Genuinely, as a woman who has had despicable period cramps, holy shit. It was agonizing and it lasted all day, and every time I moved it sent painful sharp jolts through my whole body. So clearly, I tell my parents about it and they say I'll be fine after I eat dinner. After I eat I feel even worse and am significant other bloated. Like, have you ever seen roadkill that's been there for weeks, or a dead fish floating in a lake? That's what I looked like, but 10 times worse, and every single breath was like being crushed by an anvil. As we are walking home I let out a tiny fart thinking I'll feel better. I was so wrong. Nothing could have prepared me. The pain increases to the point where it feels like my organs are being squished out by a 10-ton lorry. I obviously run to the door and beg my parents to let me in. They open the door and I sprint upstairs and sit on the toilet, expecting a huge wave of liquid shit to pour out of me, but nothing happens except a few more tortuous farts. I eventually give up and go to sleep, expecting the pain to be gone by the time I wake up in the morning. I wake up early in the morning and immediately feel that sensation of something crowning my asshole. I ran the fastest I ever had in my whole life, and by the time I sit down on the toilet I had already started shitting. This was an indescribable relief, but also like being gutted. It was such a painful and traumatic experience. The shit was liquid hot and green as it shot out of my ass at 100 miles per hour while I clung onto the toilet seat for dear life. It went everywhere, on my shorts, the toilet, the floor. It was a massacre of shit and I was the murderer. I sat there stunned and felt the absolute horror wash over me as I realized what those strawberries had done to me. It was akin to finding out your dog and mother died at the same time. My asshole was burning like the fiery inferno of hell. There were tears dripping down my cheeks and then the smell hit my nose. It was a mixture of weeks-old decomposing bodies dipped in apple cider vinegar and left in the sun, next to a pile of steaming hot wet bin juice marinating with all kinds of moldy food liquid. If you are imagining it, I can guarantee it was 1,000 times worse. It was the worst thing I've ever smelled in my life, and I have been to Leeds. Of course, then I got hit by the realization that I had to clean this up, and after I was finished wiping my violated, raggedy, abused ass I had to get on my hands and knees and scrub that god-awful revolting mixture of hellish berries and Italian food off the floor and my clothes. It took 40 minutes for me to clean everything up because it wouldn't stop shooting out of me for at least 10 minutes at a time. After that I gave up and just got in the shower to wash away the sins that had come out of me. After I was finished I walked out and my dad walked in. I'm not even joking when I say this. He vomited in the sink and ran back out absolutely traumatized. He didn't talk to me for the rest of the trip afterwards and we didn't take any photos. I haven't eaten a strawberry since. I ate strawberries ice cream on vacation, shit explosively and painfully everywhere and made my dad vomit. Wow, horrible. Quick question though. Did you ever think about hiring yourself out as a jet ski? I'm literally crying, I'm laughing so hard. Thank you. Maybe this is what happened to that guy on the airplane. Can confirm, lead smells awful. I'm suddenly reminded of the old adage that I'm about to make up. Strawberries, if you eat 49 you're feeling fine, eat 50 and apparently you're effed up. I gave up on the second line. But Reddit won't let me down.